to you, Amy.
For 600?
Here's Jimmy. When Fritz Chrysler redesigned the black helmets for this Big Ten team so the players could see each other better, the team nearly doubled its yardage from the previous season.
Michigan.
That'll be the University of Michigan. Still have those stripes. Back to you, Amy.
All right, we're ready to kick things off on this Thursday broadcast along with Jim Scarcelli. I'm Dennis Fithian. Scar, that was audio from Jeopardy back when the great Alex Trebek was running things, and I was listening to ESPNU on Sirius, and they were chiming in, and they had a Michigan question. They didn't get Chrysler's name pronounced exactly the right way, but they also didn't get the question. So there you go. That happens, you know.
The winged helmet. That was the answer, right? That's what they.
Yeah. What was the team's name? I think Michigan. And you didn't phrase it. You need to phrase that in terms of a question. So the correct answer from you, Scar, would have been, who is Michigan?
Okay.
If you would have been on Jeopardy and all the questions and everything else, it would have been like Norm for Cheers, the famous episode when he was on Jeopardy. I don't know if you recall seeing that one, do you?
No, I don't.
Well, Norm always sat at the end of the bar and drank beer in the same spot with the mailman, Cliff. And when he went on there, the questions were like famous beers, bar stories, bar games, all the things that would lead right into them. And if I went on Jeopardy, if it was college football history was sitting up there, I would pump my fist a little bit. I'd feel pretty good if that was.
So you're not looking for opera.
Opera, I would not do good in Shakespeare. I would not do good in Shakespeare. Every time those come up there, I always just say, I don't know, puck. I say puck a lot, and things like that. So I don't know. Yeah, those would be the two I would not want to get. Maybe literature, but definitely not Shakespeare. I'm not very good with Shakespeare.
Yeah, me not at all. So I would just put the buzzer down.
Put the buzzer down. Well, you don't have to put the buzzer down today because we're not going to be talking about Shakespeare. This is going to be questions that you like and answers that we're all waiting to hear what you have to say. We do want to remind everyone out there that they can call in if they want at 810-666-1574. That is available for you. And as far as the show that we're going to get to, before we get to that, we want to remind everyone with Father's Day rapidly approaching, you're looking for a gift for the Michigan man in your life, go ahead, slide him a subscription to the Maize and Blue Review. Go today to michigan.rivals.com. What a great gift. The ties and golf balls, you've been there, you've done that. But I can guarantee you, if you got a Michigan man in your life and you get him a subscription to the Maize and Blue Review, he will love you even more than he does. Also, all of our podcasts, you can find those anywhere you find podcasts. So go on there. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're on Clubhouse. Hello, everybody to Clubhouse. We're there. We'll take your questions. We'll also take your calls off Clubhouse if you are there. And speaking of what we're going to be talking about today, there's a picture of you, cartoon-wise, Scar, although I put a jacket on. You going to have a jacket on tonight?
Yeah, I'm actually going to a Polish Sports Hall of Fame banquet out in Troy, and Mark Dantonio is apparently going to be inducted, so I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to this function. I got invited. Joey Kosar's supposed to be there. A lot of I didn't know anything about it. I'm interested to go. I'll give an update next week what I learn and who I meet and how it goes.
Well, Joey Kosar, he'll have a lot of people. You shake his hand, and I've heard that he's got he was a great punch-out artist, great fighter. Along with Bob Probert back in the day, he was, Kosar was awesome. He is beloved in this town as a fighter. And, you got to take a look at those fists. But, Dantonio, you'd predict that you might get into a dust up with Kosar, but Dantonio, I mean, you're gonna stay away from from Coach D there? You got anything to say to him?
No, I met him before at one of their practices, and we had a good little talk. And he was a good guy, and I respect what he's done, and I'll shake his hand if I have the opportunity, and and congratulate him. So we'll
Tell him you get a message from your co-host that you do a podcast on Thursday, saying, he always did a pretty good job in recruiting and identifying the players, but he was wrong when he had his guys marching out there when Bush was out of the midfield, out of that Michigan State game, and he was over there. Tell him he was in the wrong when it came down to that particular Saturday.
Okay.
You can put my name if you want, all right?
I don't know if that's the first thing I want to say, but I don't want any punches thrown. But we'll see how it goes, Denny.
Well, bring Kosher over there with you, then you'll be all set. Have him say, "It's my buddy Joey." Here we are, the Blood Brothers. So. And we'll see how, tough Dantonio is there. Yeah, easiest to hardest on the Michigan schedule. Scar is going to rank them. Plus, he's got a prediction. So we're going to get right into that. But first, I got a little bit of a surprise for you, Scar. And that comes from something that I saw this morning online. You know what they're calling the quarterbacks now in the age of name, image, and likeness? Do you know that?
I had not heard that. What are they calling them?
Well, if you see the rivals list, Dante Moore is ranked. There's Arch Manning, who's not going to throw at the Elite 11. Malachi Nelson, who's going to USC. The Tennessee kid has got $6 million. There's a picture of him on a TikTok in some pajamas throwing the football. Nico Iamaleava, what they are saying, and that, name, image, and likeness, people were saying, now it's legal in terms of paying the players, but also they're now calling them millionaires. But they take, you just take the M off of millionaire and put the NIL in there, and it ends up working pretty good. There's the TikTok of Iamaleava saying that he's a millionaire now. Nico's a millionaire, and now it's legal with name, image, and likeness, and $6 million, they said that old Nico got from the Vols. That's, I don't know. I don't want to say it's a report. That number has been flying around that the Vols were able to ante up $6 million for a guy that's ranked above Dante Moore. What's your feelings about these millionaires?
Hey, that's what we're in. We've got to adjust. We've got to adapt. There's no sense complaining about it, but it's real. It's out there, and we got to do what we got to do to compete. It's not the days of when I played with Coach Harbaugh driving around Ann Arbor with a beat-up old Volkswagen. So the millionaires will not be rocking the beat-up old Volkswagens. So it's a new game. And we got to be right there so our guys have the chance to compete.
No doubt. And, speaking of Dante Moore, Dante is set, at least at last check, to head to Texas A&M this weekend. The good news, there's good news and bad news about that, Scar. The good news is it's supposed to be 105 in College Station there for Dante. So, woo! I think that's the good news. The bad news is if Iamaleava is worth $6 million for the Vols, and Texas A&M, they've got that live. I don't know if it's live money. They got that oil money, down in College Station. So they might be able to top $6 million.
Yeah, they've already shown that. That's a good point you made, because that's why the northern schools, they never liked the February signing day and the visits in January, February, because it always hurt them because there's snow on the ground, it's ice, it's cold. And now this is an opportunity where it actually could work against the southern schools because it's so darn hot down there. It's a good point. I never thought about, the official visits going on in the summertime, how it could benefit the northern schools.
Yeah, I remember Michigan fans freaking out last year when Andrew Paul, a running back that they wanted, came up and it was 10 below or whatever else. People were like, this kid's never coming. I think he came up from Texas. He ended up going to Georgia. It's coming up from Texas. There's no way this kid is going to come in. It's going to be 10 below up there. You're thinking, wow, man, if that factors in. But you never know, what factors in. A lot of times, kids will say, yeah, I felt really comfortable on the visit. Well, is Dante Moore going to feel real comfortable? They'll have him in the AC. They'll be wishing him in and out of the AC down there if Jimbo has anything to do with it, right?
Yeah, well, you can't hide the weather, but I don't know. Texas A&M, I see him I see us and Notre Dame being the two competitors there. I see him being a kid that he's comes from a real good family situation, and I would guess he'd want to be closer to home. That's just my gut.
Before we get to the breakdown, Scar, of the Michigan schedule from the most manageable games to the toughest games, I've got one other bit of recruiting news, and that has to do with Raylan Wilson, who just today is the 16th, and right before not right before, but a little bit before we were getting ready to hit the air, I saw a tweet from Raylan Wilson who said OTW with a plane emoji, and he's got Ann Arbor and the accepted I don't know if that's a lightning bolt or it's supposed to be maybe a stock, but it's an M. It's a Michigan block M. People use that online. And OTW on the way. So Raylan Wilson on his way to Ann Arbor, and he is one of Michigan's 6 verbal commitments right now and the highest rated. He is a linebacker from Tallahassee, Florida. The Gators are still trying to woo him. So is Georgia. But Wilson coming up here, and he'll be all right with the hot weather. It's supposed to really cool down actually this weekend anyway. So I don't know how long he's staying, but perfect week here for Raylan Wilson to come on.
Yeah, that's a great get right there. That's a kid from Florida, Tallahassee. I played with a lot of guys that wanted to get out of Florida. They wanted to come north. So he's a highly ranked kid, 119th national, good looking linebacker. And so he's right there. And sometimes the struggles of certain programs can help you. Florida State is just kind of, what are they doing? Not much. And this kid's right from there in Tallahassee, came to Ann Arbor, and he wants greatness, academic greatness and athletic greatness. So he's coming to Ann Arbor. Don't settle and stay down there. Come up here with the best.
Jim Scarcelli, it is the Maize and Blue Review, Michigan Today. We are live weekdays at 1:00 talking about the latest in Michigan sports. And Scarcelli Today, Scar is going to break down Michigan's schedule. They have 12 games, hopefully more than that, but 12 games. And he is going to go from the easiest or most manageable game on Michigan's schedule to the one that, at least on paper, as we sit here on June 16th, is the most difficult. And with that, Scar, I'm ready for your 12th most manageable game. I guess, no, this would be the top most manageable game, the easiest game from 12 to 1. What do you got?
Well, I'm starting out with UConn. They've got they got a new coach, and they don't have the talent. I saw them play last year. So normally a new coach will play young guys always, just to get his guys in. And that's a very manageable game. We got them at home. It's UConn, below average talent, new coach. That's the easiest game. The next easiest game I have is Hawaii. I have Hawaii number 2. The distance is a factor. You're going to be on a plane for 12 hours. I don't care what that's going to take an effect on you. They're not the biggest team. I've watched them play. They're a spread team. I want to see. We should be able to really move the ball and pound this team. Of course, they'll probably overload it and make us throw. But our size, our talent, I think we'll have a big advantage with the talent level there, plus the long trip. Colorado State is the third game. Third easiest game to win. They got a new coach. They got the old Iowa Hawkeye who built Nevada. Old Jay. The heck's his last name? Jay.
Who did he build? Who did he build?
He built up Nevada. He just took the Colorado State.
Oh, Nevada. Okay, I don't know.
Jay, I can't think of his name. The old coach. He just left Nevada, but good coach. Talent will be better than the first 2 games. Again, he's a new coach. So new coaches like to play a lot of young guys. But the talent will be better. But we got them at home. We got those 3 teams at home. That's huge. Big factor. Home is huge. Now let me just jump in on the non-conference slate here. Go ahead, Danny.
If they should blow all these teams out, I'd like a tougher game in the next 2 years. Michigan's got Cupcake City. Everybody's going to be calling them overrated. And what do you know about them? Because they hadn't going to be able to play anybody. They're going to, kill all of these teams. And that just goes with the territory. I mean, these are checks that Ward Manuel's, stuffing in his back pocket and, is paying for all the other. But, he can easily say, look at other teams do it as well. And so if he wins them all and has a really good year, it doesn't matter. And, we'll take a 1 off and it's going to be a 2 off next year. But I don't like it. If it was perfect schedule, although Colorado State, Michigan better beat them by, 30 points. It would be great if the easiest one, UConn, was the opener, followed by then Hawaii, and then, I guess followed by Colorado State, and then Hawaii, or I guess inverted that way. Easiest or most manageable, but they should flatten all of these teams and be 3-0.
See, Denny, to be honest with you, I'd rather play. If I had my choice, I'd rather play our toughest team game 1 because of our quarterback situation, because of the people we got coming back in our offensive line. I'd rather play. Our quarterback. We got enough guys back on defense. I'll get into our toughest game later, but I'd rather play, just like you say, I'd rather play a really, really tough non-league. I'd rather play Texas game 1, Oklahoma game 1 this year instead of later on our schedule.
Well, how about this? They've got a number of teams. I was looking at, I think it's, Illinois, Northwestern, Penn State, Purdue. They're playing week 1. Would you like Michigan, Penn State to be playing in week 1?
Oh, yeah, with this team, because of the team we have, because of the experienced quarterback we have coming back. Yeah, I know as a coach, you always want that first game. It all depends on, a lot of it depends on, how much experience you have back, but especially at the quarterback position, and this is why with McNamara and McCarthy, I would want a better challenge than these 3 lamb chops. But Denny, the next game on my list, we got Maryland at home. I got them because they're home. They got a great QB, very scary kid. He can do some things. He's been inconsistent. I think they're kind of average on defense. They coaching, and that's why I got him. But we got him at home, and we've had good success against them. I think we move the ball good against them. I got Illinois as the 5th easiest game. They're going to slow down. Brett Bielema made some changes with that offense. Their offense is very similar to Michigan's. They're going to be a lot of 2-3 tight ends. They're going to slow the game down. So it'll be, but we got them home. I don't think they have the athletes on defense, and they don't have, and I watched their spring game. They don't have, they got quarterback issues. I think we'll outplay them at the quarterback position, and we'll have better players on defense. Let me get one more team, Danny, then I'll let you make your comments on it. But I got Indiana. Now, Indiana might be a little, I got them in the middle. That could end up being a real tough game because it's on the road. But Indiana on the road, they don't get a lot of people at their games. So it's not a huge, home advantage. So, that you just got to, it's not like going into Iowa or Michigan State, but
no,
the guys are really good.
I've never heard them say, Bloomington Memorial Stadium, Hornets Nest. I've never heard.
It's just not. They just don't. They haven't had the momentum to get people coming and filling up the place and selling it out. So I played in that stadium, and it's not, the size of the crowd and those things affect, how big of is your home advantage. But the guy's a good coach. I don't know what he's going to have at QB, but I got him in the middle of the pack, as for a game that's on the road, being a game I think we should win. But go ahead, give me your thoughts on those 3 Big Ten games.
Well, if you're organizing what you think would be the perfect way, even though you said you wouldn't mind having a tough team right off the bat, I don't mind easing my way in the pool. You like jumping in. I don't mind just dipping my toe in there a little bit. Super easy non-conference slate. And then according to your rankings here, Michigan's first game, which is home, is their most manageable Big Ten game, and it's Maryland. Their second most manageable conference game is what a lot of people will look at as a sandwich game because it's Michigan's last home game of the year. The week before, they got to go to Rutgers, but then they've got Nebraska, but then they've got Illinois as their final home game, and then they go to Ohio State. So the way this sets up, you got to really like this. About it being me being a little critical of Michigan's non-conference slate, Otis has weighed in. He says Alabama plays 4 non-conference games a year with an FCS team in that mix. Don't worry about the non-conference. It's working out for them. It can work for us too. So Otis, he doesn't mind the super easy non-conference slate.
No, hey, I agree. You know, the SEC, they're playing 4 lamb chops. If they don't have a big time player on their schedule, then why should we? If we're all trying to get into the Final Four. But let me get into my next game here. I got Rutgers is we go on the road to Rutgers. Rutgers is tough. They got their quarterback back. They did a great job against us last year. He's a really good defensive coach. We had a tough time moving the ball against them. We had a tough time stopping some of the things they were doing on offense with their quarterback. So I got them as the 7th, as the 5th most difficult game because of the quarterback, because we're on the road, because he's a good coach. He knows how to stop our physical 2-3 tight end offense, and we struggled last year. I've got Nebraska as the as the 4th most difficult game on our schedule, 5th most difficult game on our schedule, because Nebraska is tough to defend. I have him as one of the most difficult teams to defend because of the things he does with the quarterback. They're getting better players. He brought in like 16 transfers, guys that's played at other schools. Nebraska, even though we're at home, but that's a game that we don't know. That could be easier than Indiana on the road. I don't know. But I think Nebraska, because of their quarterback difficulties defending them. The next is Penn State. I've got Penn State because they're at home and they've got, they've got some real good talent. Penn State has good talent. And, they're not going to focus on us. That's not the number 1 game on their schedule, but they've got good players. They're very similar with us in terms of how well they recruited. He's got his quarterback back for a 6th year, so they will be a tough team to beat. I've got the Michigan State Spartans, Denny, as a real tough game to win. Because Michigan State will do everything they've done in the spring, the things they do in the fall, will be focused on beating Michigan. Their whole, they put it on their ring. They beat Michigan. They have us as their number 1 game. They don't care that they got beat 49-0 went down to Columbus and got beat 49-0. That's fun. They'll pretend that doesn't happen. They want to focus on Michigan. Michigan's trying to win a Big Ten championship. We got to beat Michigan State, Penn State, Ohio State. We got to beat everybody. But they will be tough because they focus on us. They've got good players. They're bringing in transfers. They'll be a tough game. Now, Danny, I must have missed a game in here on my list. Who did I miss? Because Iowa. That's right. I'm sorry. I have Iowa as the number 2 team because we got to go on the road. I'm sorry. I had it in my notes. I couldn't see Iowa there. Iowa on the road. I played in that stadium. It will be loud. It will be intimidating. It will be tough for our offense to communicate. They will be much better than the championship game. I mean, we struggled to move the ball early on. We got the halfback pass going with Donovan Edwards, and then we got JJ, and we got the one run going with the linebacker out of position, but we struggled to move the ball against them. That game will be tough. It'll be a lot lower scoring, I think, than the championship game. They'll make adjustments. I mean, I like our chances, but that game's going to be tough because it's on the road, because they have a true home field advantage. And obviously, Ohio State will have the greatest talent we're going to face. But they'll have the quarterback, but that every game on that schedule we can win. Every game on that schedule, I feel confident we can win. I think I've said this before. Coach Mueller, he used to prefer to play Ohio State on the road. He just, I don't know if it was just his way of trying to instill confidence in us, but he said, you don't have the distractions, you don't have the tickets for everybody, you don't have your, all the BS that comes sometimes with being at home. But Ohio State will be the best because they have the best talent. But Iowa will be a real tough game on the road, and I think in looking at this schedule, Denny, and as a whole, I would say it's a really nice schedule for us because we've got some really tough teams at home And then the two of the toughest ones we got to go on the road. We can beat them both. We'll have better players than Iowa, and we can match up with Ohio State. So I'm really confident with this schedule.
Yeah, when you look at at Rutgers and at Indiana, Michigan can win at those places there. And I'm with you. The Iowa game is probably going to be at night. There's a good bet. Michigan will be, if they're not going to be in the top 5, they'll be knocking on the door as a top 5 team in the country. Iowa, I looked at their schedule. They could play Iowa State there, so maybe they could, but they'll probably be undefeated as well. So we could be talking about like number 5 Michigan against number 11 Iowa. That sounds like a night game to me. And yeah, Ohio State with what they have, the kind of talent that last game. I'll take your word for those non-conference games there and how they look. Maybe Maryland, if somebody wanted to make a case for Maryland because they got Tagovailoa, might be tougher than Illinois. But the way Michigan went into Maryland last year and smacked them upside the head, I think you've created the perfect list here that everybody's going to agree with.
Well, I thought it through, and again, you're right about Maryland, the quarterback, but he's been inconsistent. But we move the ball. Physically, I like the way we move the ball against them. Illinois will be that'll be a lower scoring game. What does Travis say? Michigan finally doesn't have to play Wisconsin this year, and now everyone says they have a weak schedule. Too funny. Well, I wouldn't say they have a weak schedule. The non-league games are questionable, but hey. Nebraska and Iowa are two of the best teams from that side of things, man. And Illinois is they're going to shock some people this year. So, Travis, whoever they is, you want wisdom, come listen to Denny and me. We're not saying that schedule's weak. I think
Scar, you want to call it a manageable schedule? It's a weak non-conference schedule. There's no question about that. Those are 3 absolute cupcakes. Those are 3 blowouts. Those are 3 check games. They could have you come back and play a series or 2. An outside linebacker for Michigan in any of those games. I mean, these games, Michigan should win those games by 3-4 touchdowns. So it is weak. I mean, it is as weak as the non-conference slate in the country. Should they be hammered for it? Like somebody said earlier, look at some of these other teams. Like other teams do it. Wisconsin, traditionally, back in the day, everybody used to say, you never know about, because you'd get around Halloween, everybody would say, it's time to unmask the Badgers because they annually don't play anybody and they're always overrated. Well, those are the things that are going to be said about Michigan. And Michigan not having Wisconsin, that is a break. I mean, you can't do anything about the breaks when it comes to crossovers and anything else. And Michigan does play in the Big Ten East, which is loaded with Ohio State. Michigan State's supposed to be pretty good. Looks like they're going to be a right around top 10 preseason top 25 team. And, Penn State's going to be pretty good too. So they don't have to apologize to anybody. But if you want it, even from a Michigan side here, Maize and Blue Review, Michigan does have an easy schedule. It sets up great for them.
Yeah, but Denny,
go ahead.
It's easy non-conference. Okay, yeah, 3 games non-conference. I'll give you that. But as far as league games, okay, let's talk league games. With what we're doing on defense now and how we defend the physical 3 tight end stuff so much better now than with the Don Brown stuff. I wouldn't mind playing Wisconsin in a minute. I might even rather take Wisconsin than Nebraska. When I look at how we defended Wisconsin last year, which was pretty darn good in their house, and our defense is really designed to stop that kind of stuff. So, Wisconsin, Nebraska, I don't know. Iowa's going to be Iowa's a good football team. So, I don't know that I would fear Wisconsin anymore with what we're doing. But yeah,
how about this, Scar? To me, it sets up nice. You want to say Iowa on the road, Wisconsin? I'll give you that. And Ohio State, you do have to play on the road, but having Michigan State and Penn State and Nebraska at home, that's nice. We saw that they had to go on the road, with those teams last year.
I like it a lot, Dan. I like those 3 games. Yeah, I like Nebraska, Penn State, Michigan State. Those are good teams. And home field, man, those last 5 games we play, man, home field is huge. Or the last 5 teams I have ranked on there. Nebraska, they got a home field advantage, man. Penn State, home field matters, and obviously Michigan State and Iowa, and we got 3 of those guys at home. Three really good teams there, and we just got to get out. We got to get out there, and with our experience, I'm glad we got Iowa early on too, with our quarterbacks who are experienced. So we got them fairly early going into that hostile environment. I'm confident, but there's not a big difference between Wisconsin, Nebraska, Iowa. There's not a big difference between those people in my mind.
Okay, here's some more feedback from you. Otis, the nice thing about J.J. McCarthy is on the road. If the play breaks down, he can make something out of nothing. And Otis agrees with you, except he would move Penn State to be the second hardest, Michigan State 3, and Iowa 4. So
Otis, the reason I have Michigan State more difficult is because they will have plays that they haven't run all year for us. They have been working on things in spring football. They will work on things in fall camp that they will not show. They will, because they believe that Michigan game means so much to them. Yes, all things being equal, Penn State will have better players, I think. I think they recruited a little better. I think there'll be a slightly better players there. Both quarterbacks are good, mobile guys, but the reason I put Michigan State slightly above Penn State was because of the things our defense will not have an opportunity to prepare for.
All right. And Travis saying that we have to root for Iowa to lose early. Fox owns the rights to the game. They could very well put it at their famous noon kickoff, unless it's a battle of top 15 teams, then Fox will move it to night. Well, it always gets tricky there. So you're also rooting for Ohio State against Notre Dame on that opening weekend as well. I get into, but don't you want Iowa to be ranked as high as they can be for the October 1st matchup, whether it's night or not, so you can say, hey, Michigan's got a top 10 win, maybe, or certainly I think at that point, top 15 win. It's the same thing against Ohio State. You want them to lose at home against Notre Dame, and then, Michigan might need that juice, the final weekend down there in Columbus. If you win all the games, you don't have to worry about it. But, if you stub your toe once or twice, those things like strength of schedule and toughness in the league. But, I'm saying all that. I will not be rooting for Ohio State on September 3rd. I won't be rooting for Notre Dame either, but I'm not going to root for either of those teams. And you want me to root for Iowa State over Iowa? All right, Travis. For you, and because it could mean a noon game instead of a night game, I'm in with you. I'll do it.
Yeah, it's a lot nicer playing at noon as a college football player. And, in general, we want our other Big Ten teams to win their non-league games, but I'm not going to lie. Everything affects recruiting. So, I can't say that I always want Ohio State to win, because the more they lose, the bigger impact it'll have on recruiting. But, I think, we're playing Hawaii at night, I do believe, right, Denny?
That is correct.
Yeah, I think that's probably not by accident. I think it could be, in a way, it can be a good thing, because, again, our players get acclimated to that long day of hanging around. It's not comfortable, but you have to get used to doing it. And there is an upside to having one night game under your belt if we do have to go to Iowa 3-4 weeks later and playing at night. To be honest, who does Wisconsin play besides OSU? That makes them so important to Michigan schedule to make it tough. They've still got to beat Iowa in that league, and they got to beat Nebraska, and I don't know who else they got. OSU is enough. Like I said last week, everybody in the Western Conference, when they get their schedule, the first thing they're looking at is Ohio State on their schedule, and then Michigan and Penn State would probably be the other two teams they're looking at. Who's on our schedule from the Eastern Conference? But Ohio State would be the number one team nobody from the Western Conference wants to play.
No, I hear you. I think if you polled the 100 Big Ten fans and said who's the rules the roost, even though Iowa did go to the Big Ten championship game, I think most people would vote Wisconsin. They have been to the Big Ten championship game since it was installed 8 years ago. I believe the most out of the West, but yeah, and they do traditionally have a really good run defense, and now they took down Notre Dame last year. However, that went down, and Michigan has had their battles with them, but that's it. It's you want to say Iowa's better, all right. And calling the Michigan State game, I believe, their Super Bowl. So there you go. And here are the last three. Scar ranked them. Ohio State the toughest, Iowa, then Michigan State, Penn State. Then it gets to Nebraska, Rutgers, and Indiana. And how they set up Illinois, the last Big Ten home game of the year for Michigan. Maryland, the first game of the year. Colorado State, Hawaii, that night game. And then UConn, the most manageable game. I like it from a fan, media perspective. I didn't go to the games last year, but I've been to a lot of those night games. I think about a Minnesota game or even a Wisconsin game. Sitting up there, you sit up in the press box and you just wait afterwards, and you can just see, you're looking down stadium until the cars actually, you're up there pretty high in that press box. Once it starts to thin out, you're able to watch another game there, and then you just go walk home. But tailgating all day, there's nothing like what's that going to be? September 10th. So I don't know, about 65 degrees. I'm going to guess at game time, where it could be up into the 80s. Tailgating all day, that's going to be a heck of a day. Sometimes the opponent doesn't. When you have games like this, the opponent doesn't even matter. Sometimes the tailgate will be better than the football game when it comes down to a game like Hawaii or UConn and Colorado State. It'll be a great tailgate day, Saturday, September 10th.
Hey, you just hope for everybody play a lot of guys and keep healthy, and you want to play a lot of guys. But if I'm the Michigan coach and I could adjust this schedule and flip it around, I would play Iowa #1 game of the year on the road because we got our quarterback back. I would play him game 1 if I had my choice. I don't need, because I think we've got some real experience there. What's the line on the OSU and ND game? I can't lose in this game. I love it. If either team loses, better for Michigan, though. If OSU, he's right, it's better for Michigan. All the Big Ten teams that win is better for us. But I would think Ohio State, with the quarterback situation and the kid they got back, will be a good favorite in that game. I would probably bet Ohio State if it's 6.5 and below. I would take Ohio State.
Yeah, it's way above that. I looked at it yesterday. I'm going to say it's at least 14.5. It could have been 16.5. That's how big the number is.
See, that's
now you might not take the Irish, Scar. It's what you're saying. You're thinking that the line should have been 6.5, and it's 14, 16.5. You got to jump all over the Irish.
Yeah, well, the bookies are smart there. Because they know Notre Dame has quarterback troubles. They are not going to be able to match the quarterback play, and I don't know that the receivers and athletic. Yeah, that's a lot of points, man. So
plus their coach came out trash talking the academics at Ohio State, which is going to tick off. That's going to be that's one of the big subplots of the summer with Marcus Freeman shooting off his mouth, even though he said he was misquoted by Dennis Dodd today. I like that. All right. Travis is rooting for Ohio State to blow out Notre Dame. See how many of the Notre Dame recruits they can flip after that. There you go. Little wink emoji. Maybe trying to flip some. 16.5. Otis is saying, yeah, it is a lot. I thought that the number was 16.5.
Danny, the downside, you see, Travis is thinking. He's thinking right. He's thinking like I think about recruiting. Okay, he wants Ohio State to beat the heck out of Notre Dame, so it affects Notre Dame's recruiting. But guess what? It helps Ohio State's recruiting. So that's one of those games where if we have our choice, you'd probably rather have Notre Dame get kids, not Ohio State. We don't want to lose guys to Ohio State. We don't play Notre Dame to win a Big Ten championship. We don't got to beat Notre Dame. We got to beat the Buckeyes. So we always want Ohio State to be on the losing end, so it affects their recruiting.
All right. I like it from that standpoint. Okay, I'm just sitting here fooling around with the pictures. Let's get to the next point, and that is right in the wheelhouse of Jim Scarcelli. You are going to give us here on June the 16th, Michigan's chances at repeating as Big Ten champs. Having said all that, I looked, speaking of over and unders and everything else, there was the first line that I saw, and I apologize for not, maybe Bovada would be my guess, because they put out early over and unders. They had Michigan's total at 9.5, and I'm over on that right now. A month ago, I picked 10-2. I think that's the real easy pick, saying Michigan loses at Iowa, Michigan loses at Ohio State. 10 wins. I wouldn't take that. If somebody said you can have 10 wins right now, would you take it? I would not take it. I've come around in the last month myself, Scar, where I think Michigan now is going to beat Iowa. So I have them going 11-0. I know that sounds quite homerish, to talk about Michigan being undefeated going into the game against Columbus on November the 25th, which that is going to be Thanksgiving weekend. But that's how I feel sitting here today. What about you?
Totally confident. I'm right there with you. We could very easily be 11-0 going into Columbus. I like it. I like this team. I like this quarterback. I like the people we have. But so I believe we have a good chance. I would definitely take over 9.5. We will win 10 football games. I believe that. Or 9.5.
Yeah.
Okay. So I believe I would take that bet. In fact, I'm going to check that as soon as I hang up with you. I might put that in. But I like our chances. I like our quarterback. I like our coach. And so Michigan's chances at repeating as Big Ten champs, I like it a lot. I would put it at around 55%, because obviously the toughest game will be going to Columbus. So we got to beat them. But I believe we have at least a 50% chance to compete. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you the top 8 people that are responsible for making this happen, because I'm confident we can do it. The number one guy is our defensive coordinator. Okay, we hit the jackpot with Mike McDonald. We hit the jackpot. We changed our scheme, and the guy was smart. He got us adjusted right. He got us in good. He had good. He was inconsistent. The offenses couldn't figure him out. Minter's the number one guy. He's got to be good. Okay, the number 2 guys, I got them together. I got Moore and Weiss. I'm sorry, but the first 3 guys on my list are coaches. The first 4 guys are coaches. I got Moore and Weiss, the co-offensive coordinators. Old Josh Gaddis did a pretty good job, Denny, mixing our offense up. Obviously, we got a great scheme. We got the physicalness. We got the spread stuff. We got some halfback pass. We got those things, okay? And I thought Josh Gaddis did a good job blending it, being hard to figure out. So Weiss and Moore, they got to do the same thing, because our players are going to play. He's got the talent to make things happen. Jay Harbaugh was the best special team coach in the Big Ten last year. So I got him as the 4th most important guy. We outcoached people at that position last year. We were good there, and he'll do it again. Now, the 5th and 6th most important people are our 2 quarterbacks. I think our McNamara is as good as anybody in the Big Ten. We got another guy who's as good as any. And we got 2 of them. Jim's going to play them both. Those guys got to be good. Those guys got to be smart. The only game we screwed around with was when we had the turnover there at Michigan State, right? The handoff. They didn't do nothing to cause that turnover. We gave it to them. So we got to be great at that position. And now the 2 guys, they play the same position. I'm a former outside linebacker. I know how important it is. And I read old Bear Bryant's book, Danny, and I read all the coaching books. And Bear used to say the most important players on your defense are your outside defensive end guys, your edge guy. I know it as a coach, having coached for 25 years, that's a darn important position. Hutchinson, Ajabo were outstanding. Okay, we got to get the same thing from Mike Morris and Upshaw. Now, that Upshaw position is up for grabs. It could be Harrell. It could be McGregor. I don't know, but that position's got to be good. Those are playmaker positions. They most of our pressures were from that position. But those are my top 8 guys that really have to play or make great game plans and for us to repeat. But I do believe we can repeat. I think we have a good chance to repeat. experience. We got smart guys in all those positions. And but the outside guys got to be good on defense, Danny. They got to make plays.
Yeah, and it's tough when you think about the sacks that that's why Aiden Hutchinson went number 2 in the NFL draft, and Ajabo would have been a first rounder. I think Mike Morris is going to be good, and Upshaw as well. You mentioned I've put on a couple Michigan games at different spots just over. It's not summer yet, but it feels like summer. Just putting the DVR on, and Jalen Harrell, he could take a jump where he played a lot of football. There were a couple games that he played more than Ajabo. I'm not saying you're sleeping on him. You mentioned him right there. I think that maybe if there's one player, and then Morris would be a lot of people's pick to like really jump up and be a star. But I think Harrell will be a star for this team.
Yeah, Morris has shown that he's probably the best passer. You got to be able to do both. You got to play the run, and you got to be able to beat tackles and beat guards. You got to be able to apply pressure. You got to be able to do both. Harrell has been good against the run. He's got to be able to bring pressure. And McGregor is a big, good-looking, athletic kid. He's just got to get things figured out because he's got the athletic ability, the size, and Upshaw's a fifth-year kid now. Hopefully, Upshaw, will be that guy that we really haven't heard much about that just has a great fifth year. I played with a bunch of guys like that. Didn't do anything for 4 years, and then now they get the chance to start, and they're the guy, and they step up. They step up and meet the expectations of being the guy.
Well, it's one of those things you even expect, Scar. Like, if Michigan's playing well, let's say they do. I think everybody expects them to win those first 4 games, and let's say they beat Iowa. They go into Iowa City, night game or not, and they beat them. The conversation about Michigan's going to have some fifth-year guys. Like, those are the kind of things that, when you have a good football team, it almost comes let it right along with it. Those are markings of a good football team. You're like, hey, here's a fifth-year guy that, is really stepping up. They had Vistardis, even though he was like a sixth-year guy. They're at center, was able to stay around. They had, Hawkins, who had the big play against Nebraska. They're guys that when they stay around and they're in their last year, that's definitely what you're looking for. And Otis picking a Junior Colson, maybe coming off the edge in certain packages. Getting after.
He plays inside backer, and they bring him a lot from different. That's what I like about our defensive scheme. We don't know who's coming, who's dropping. But Danny, getting back to your point about fourth and fifth year guys, man, that's how you win championships with the older guys. It's very similar to the basketball. Bill Self, we talked about getting old, staying old, and you're not winning with freshmen out there. Very seldom are these teams winning with young guys. I look at myself, as a freshman, sophomore, I wasn't nowhere near ready to play like I eventually was my fourth and fifth year. You're a totally different player. You're so much stronger. You're in the weight room for 3-4 years. So, there's guys that a guy like Upshaw, he's going to have a good year, man. With McGregor and Harrell, we're going to have 4 guys there, Danny, that are going to rotate, that are going to play good football there. I'm just confident that we're going to get good football from that position. And we have to, man. That is a key position. We got to get pressure. You got to, just like in warfare, my old coach, the old outside linebacker coach, he used to talk about warfare all the time and securing the flanks, right? The flanks are the defensive end outside linebackers. You got to be solid on your flanks and defend the perimeter.
Hey, we're a long ways away. I don't know, 70 some odd days. I lose count. I'm enjoying the summer here. I'm going to be watching tons of golf over the next 4 days, and I'll even watch the Tigers, see if they're able to get out of their funk. But, listening to you just talk about college football and talk about getting out of the flanks and get after the quarterback, Scar, I used to sit around, regardless of who was playing in the Rose Bowl, just sit around because I like Keith Jackson, talking about looking at the Senko and Arroyo and everything else. And there's your postcard. Scar, I just like listening to you talk about Michigan football.
We could talk Michigan football all day long, but we're getting ready. The guys are working now. Here we are, June 6th. I'm putting myself back in that mode. They are in the weight room, and they are pushing each other, and they are high-fiving, and and they are cheering each other on, and they're running together. They're having running workouts together where there's a lot of energy, and they're high-fiving each other, and all that stuff builds toward the confidence, man. You know, that weight room, all that stuff matters. Now, all that energy and that enthusiasm, it's building. They're building the confidence in the chemistry and the unity. All that stuff starts in the weight room and when they're running and doing all those things together, getting their body mentally and physically ready.
Scar, you mentioned Bear Bryant, and we know Dante Moore is going on to Texas A&M. That's the Junction Boys type thing. You know, get them out in the dirt and have it be 105 degrees. Don't give them any water. Things have changed over the years. You mentioned that you coached for 25 years. If you got a day in August in high school like we had yesterday and even today, but yesterday, the heat index, I think, is over 100 degrees. What did you do with your guys? Did you take it a little bit easy on them, or was that the day really to get after them because it was so hot? I never forget my freshman year. We were the #1 ranked team in the country, and it was really cool that fall. And Bo came out. We started practice, and he would get us together before, and he said, I don't like it, men. It's too cool out here. I don't like it at all. We're going to pay. I don't like it. It's not going to get us ready. And we had cool practices. And then sure enough, first game of the year, we go to Wisconsin. It's 95 degrees, and we got beat. Whether that's a correlation or not, I don't know. But I, as a coach, I used to like the hot, miserable days because you're going to have to play in that. You just have to be smart as a coach. You can't. You have to have your water breaks. You got to do more of that stuff when you have these hot conditions like we have in today. But if you're going to play in those kind of conditions, you have to prepare in it. But you just got to be a smart coach and give them a lot of breaks and water breaks. But and this is why you play a lot of guys too, though. This is why Michigan, is smart with their scheme and their philosophy that they play a lot of guys on defense because they're not playing tired because they're rotating guys. So you got to be. That's a big part of handling the hot games. I like it. And somebody, I guess we mentioned Keith Jackson. It's been a long time since I've done a Keith Jackson. Let me give you one, Scar, and you tell me if I can do it or not. All right, ready? Keith Jackson, Jim Scarcelli. There's big number 90, Mike Morris. He's got big hands and a wide back, and he'll come down and he'll give you a pop. And not the kind of pop that you get at the candy store. There he is. Oh, Nelly.
That was good stuff, Danny. How about swapping paint? Swapping paint. The big boys are out there swapping paint. I'll tell you, I remember as a young high school kid, junior high kid, watching Keith, listening to Keith, it's like, yeah, I had goals of being a college player, but one of the goals was to have Keith Jackson say your name on national television. And I had the privilege of having him say it once or twice. So,
ooh, we're going to have to see if we can find some of that audio. That would be nice.
But yeah, he was a legend. And those are the guys I really like that you won't ever hear them say bad things about a kid, that got beat on a play or got run over by a running, they're complimentary to the guy that made the good play, and they don't embarrass the guy who was on the the bad end of things. So that's we need more of those guys doing games, in my opinion.
The great one, Keith Jackson. The great one, Jim Scarcelli. Scar, great job here today, and we want to remind everybody that coming up tomorrow, we'll have a football season preview with Trevor McHugh from the Maize and Blue Review. Just over the last 2 days, he's had 20 questions about the offense, 20 questions about the defense. So he will be ready to go tomorrow. Scar, you got a final thought?
It's all Michigan, man. We're confident. They got the one-day camps. They got one going on today, Thursday, which they have the one-day camps going on. Some recruits are in the house. And hopefully we're closing deals, man. Closing some deals.
There you go. Scar, great job. We will talk with you again next week.
Go Blue.
There he is, Jim Scarcelli. Thanks for watching. Bye.